Hi guys, my name is Hailey Jackson, otherwise known as the Lioness. So growing up, I was pretty shy. I was kind of a quiet person with strangers and with adults, but with my friends and with my family, I was very outgoing, very into storytelling.
Hi, welcome to Fairy Tale News.
I had this little puppet theater that I was obsessed with. I thought it was so much fun to put on these little puppet hand plays. I was also constantly learning songs and dances with my best friends. Our favorite pastime was choreographing dances to the Jonas Brothers, learning all the lyrics to the Cheetah Girls. But I was never really extroverted enough or into the idea of doing theater, but my best friend was. And I had always been into drawing and started to get really into music when I was about 10 years old. And me and my friends always talked about starting a band. And to us, that meant we would dye our hair cool colors and get a lot of attention. But when I was 11, me and my best friend joined a performing and visual arts school that was a middle school and a high school. And so starting then, I really got to delve into the arts, and I learned how to play guitar, thinking maybe that would be my greatest passion. I was actually taking fine art classes, learning how to draw and to paint and to do photography. And it was that year that my best friend and my family convinced me to audition for my first play. And it was a production of Suissical. I was cast as Cindy Lou Who and a Wickersham, which is basically a gangster monkey. That was my first play, and of course at the time it was just something really fun. I learned my lines and I had a lot of fun, but it wasn't really something that I was so deeply passionate about as I am today. And as time went by, all through middle school and high school, of constantly being surrounded by art and around these amazing artists, my love for music quickly faded into just loving other people's music. I realized it wasn't really my talent or my love. But my visual storytelling and my theater started to really come together. And I had some doubts my freshman year of high school. I didn't do any theater at all. I was kind of done with it. But my school went through a bunch of changes. And so my sophomore year of high school, I decided to give it a new try. And that year I auditioned for our production of Macbeth. It was the first Shakespeare that I had done in traditional Shakespeare English. It was my first lead role. I got cast as the amazing Lady Macbeth. And it was the first time I really delved into theater as an art rather than just as something fun to do after school. What ingrained it so deep here, I think, was that we got to take so much time with it. So I spent 8 months with the role of Lady Macbeth. Also around this time, was a really, really hard time for my family. My mom had been very sick for many years, and she passed away that winter. So amidst doing this play, I had the biggest tragedy of my life happen, doing a play about murder and death. And right when it happened, I considered dropping out. But that would have been the silliest thing, because it ended up being kind of the thing that really turned my life around. It was the thing I could hold on to and be passionate and excited about and just pour myself into. It's a very emotional play, lots of sadness, lots of anger, and of course that's what I was feeling at the time. And so for the first time, I got to really empathize with this character. That's what Lady Macbeth taught me, was empathy, because it's very easy to judge her character and play her character just based off the idea that she's like this psychopath, that she's this crazy murderess. And I found love in her. I found passion in her. I found her humanity overall. And that's when I fell in love with theater, because I found her as a human being, and all of the decisions she made, all of the horrible ideas she had, came from this place of just wanting to be happy like everybody else, really truly wanting what was best for her and her husband. And of course that completely got turned on its head. Hi Maisie. This is my co-host Maisie. Maisie, say hi. She's feeling shy now. I was finding the humanity in a murderess, where I basically re-looked at society and humanity, and after having experienced the death of my mom, I was just filled with this new sense of gratitude, and I was looking at the world very differently than I was. I grew up very fast through that experience, and that's when I really fell in love. So after that, junior and senior year, I was constantly doing plays, went on to do a lot more classical shows. And so when I decided what I wanted to do with my life, I wanted to be an actor. And I have to be an actor because I have this deep responsibility to tell the stories of humanity, the good, the bad, the ugly. I think acting is the ultimate form of holding a mirror up to humanity's face and addressing everything beautiful and everything horrible about this amazing thing we call humankind. Hi, Maisie. There she is. Hi, Maisie Bell. I'm always trying to expand and do every type of role I want. I get asked this all the time. I just got asked it yesterday, but like, what kind of actress do you want to be? And I think that's such a silly question, because what's so beautiful about my job as an actress is that I never have to choose. I can be everything from, within one showcase, I got to be Curly's wife from Of Mice and Men and Mona from Chicago. I get to play murderers, I get to play terrible people, I get to play amazing people, I get to play innocent sweethearts. And that's what I love about my job so much, is that I get to experiment with humanity and what it means to be a human being on every single level that implies. So directing kind of also came within that same show. When we were doing Macbeth, we did this whole world that we developed. We created it. It was a post-apocalyptic world that we kind of lightly based off of like Mad Max Thunderdome, kind of, where everything is just every man for himself. Everything that you have on your person is what you think you need to survive. And we created that kind of society. So everybody had like tattoos everywhere. We had face tattoos. Our clothing was very different. It was very militaristic mixed with just post-apocalyptic. So people had like army jackets on and like hockey pads, and their weapons were all things that they could create. We decided it was so far in the future that guns were basically extinct, so everyone was carrying around bats and axes and knives, and so with that, we had a lot of world development to do, and I had way too much fun with that. I was constantly making sketches and drawing things and taking them to my director, and he'd be like, yeah, or he'd be like, no. And I literally went out to the woods and just got a bunch of sticks and made them into weapons, tying rocks onto them, tying blades onto them, trying to get really creative with this world. I had a lot of fun deciding what Lady Macbeth wore, what she felt like she needed to survive. And it was kind of in that, and me constantly overstepping my position, that I realized maybe I'd want to be a director too, because I had a lot to say about every element of the play. I wanted to help with the music, I wanted to help actors with their rehearsals, and one of my worst qualities as a student, probably one of my most annoying qualities as a fellow student and a fellow cast member, is probably one of my best qualities as a director, and that's just simply that I wanted to help with everything. I wanted to have my hand in every part of this performance, and so that's when I really considered being a director as well. When time came senior year to really start considering colleges, I knew film is what I wanted to do, because I had studied visual art at the school the entire time. So it was a way to combine my acting life and my visual art life into one amazing medium, and that's film. Today, here I am at film school, almost done. I've got a year left, and I've done more plays. I've been in a ton of student films, some really good ones, some really garbage ones, and ultimately I'm just constantly being reminded of my humanity. And I think that's the most beautiful part of being a filmmaker, is that I get to tell stories that deserve to be told, because everybody's story deserves to be told. My job is to find the stories that need to be heard. My life, I know, has been influenced and changed by films entirely. It's been changed by plays. I can pinpoint certain movies that completely changed the way I think, changed the way I view people, and have either made me awake and disturbed about something, or have made me completely fall in love with some facet of human nature that I wasn't aware of before. So now I am classically studying and classically being trained in acting and filmmaking, and I know I'm in the right place, and I know it is what I was meant to do. So that's me. Leave a comment below about your greatest passion. I would love to read it. If you have any questions for me about my journey with acting so far, where I'm at today, let me know in the comments below. What is your greatest passion, and what are you doing to pursue it? Please like, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be constantly putting out more work. I'm putting out a lot more of my scenes, a lot more of my film projects, putting together more reels and things, so that I can constantly sharing my real life and Ferociously Fit, all of my things. So please subscribe, support, and leave some love. Love you guys. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found this interesting. Bye.
Sorry.